Today on Teuty's track analysis, we have the track of the day for July 10th, Asmarelo by Rossa and Kris. Asmarelo is a tech track mainly comprised of the road surface, but you can also find some sausage, grass, and dirt throughout the track. It also has the effect block cruise control. To start out the track, you can find two GPSs. The one behind you drives a 40.605, and the one in front of you drives a 40.365, which is the Asmarelo time. Throughout Asmarelo, you will find multiple hard and soft speed checks, so some you will be able to pass with lower speeds with worse landings, or some of them you will not be able to pass at all, though I did not find any of these particularly difficult. To end off the track, we have two separate finishes. The risky finish needs a minimum of 250 speed to cross, though I recommend 270 or more, and this risky finish will save you a minimum of 0.8 of a second. And as for the difficulty of the track, I found it to be slightly harder than an average track of the day, rating it a 6.5 out of 10. The medal times I found quite challenging as well, with my personal best of a 40.568, being about 0.2 behind the author medal time of 40.365. The gold medal time was 45 seconds, the silver 50 seconds, and the bronze 1 minute. Though I did have a couple of issues with the track, I found it quite fun to drive and would rate it a plus plus. For today's analysis and comparison, we are using the current world record Ghost driven by KrisTM, and they had a time of 39.820, and this is 0.748 ahead of my personal best. Only about a half a second between the world record right now and the author medal time, so a pretty difficult one to get today, not a lot of time to save here. My opening drift here was not the best, as we'll see I go very wide here, drifting too early. The world record takes it fully inside. I continued the run though because I figured my exit was a little bit better inside line, so I can get a lower jump here, land earlier, and get a bit more acceleration, which was the case, but overall it was not worth the time. One thing I would like to mention is if your car is a little bit bumpy on the crossover here, you do have a potential of getting into a nose slide. So if you see two skid marks coming off the back of your car, you're going to want to counter steer and then start steering again in the correct direction. Otherwise, you will not be able to drift. Continuing on here, I wish I was a little bit wider like the world record was. I take it a little bit too inside for this drift, so I'm going to have to over drift a little bit to compensate for that. Luckily, the speed loss isn't too costly here, as we're going to get into a drift very soon after, but we'll see here setting up for that drift here. You want to be wide and then just get right around the apex of the turn here and exit wide as well. This upcoming part of the track was by far my least favorite part of the track, and it also was probably the hardest part of the track, because seemingly no matter your entrance to this jump, your landing is going to be a little bit unsmooth, and the small amount of bounce you get here completely throws off the drift, and it just does not feel satisfying at all. Also, other problems came into play with this. It doesn't look that bad in slow motion, but the camera here is not all that fantastic when you're coming through with high speed, and you don't see the exit until extremely late, making it very difficult to make any adjustments. Then onto the grass here. As you jump, turn towards the right a little bit so you get a nice angle for this. The world record jumps a little bit wider, which will give them a little bit straighter exit and a little bit more exit speed. While going up this hill, you want to make sure you are on an inside line. If you end up wide here, you will very easily get onto two wheels and start sliding out and maybe even crash. Then upcoming, we have another pretty challenging drift here. Both the world record and I drifting very early, starting out very wide, and just getting around the corner. Now on the exit, there is not a ton of room for error here entering the dirt section. If you are too far on an inside line, you're going to hit the right wall. If you are too wide, which is extremely easy to do, you're just not going to make it into the dirt section without a huge release. And even if you make it into the dirt section, if you are too far on an inside line, just barely making it in, you are going to get airtime as we make the turn. Unfortunately, I started my turn here a little bit too early, which is going to cause me to lift off the ground right there. And on the exit, that's going to cost me about 20 speed and probably prevented me from getting the author medal. And not much else left to the track. We just got a couple of jumps here into the risky finish. Again, I recommend 270 speed to make it. And that is going to do it for today's analysis. If you learned anything from today's video or enjoyed the video, be sure to like it and subscribe so you do not miss out on future analysis. Also, there is a link to my Discord in the description if you are interested in joining there. And just a reminder that I will also be streaming tomorrow, Tuesday the 11th, starting 2 hours before the track of the day releases. We'll be playing the track of the day or cup of the day there, as well as many other things. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for the next analysis.